So Maren Morris is leaving country music, and I've had a lot of people asking me what I thought about this one. She said in an interview, "I couldn't do this circus anymore, feeling like I have to absorb and explain people's bad behavior and laugh it off. You know, I never wanted to move to Nashville and become part of that circus. That was never part of my plan. I just wrote songs and traveled around my part of the world making the kind of music I wanted to make. And in my mind, it was country music. But I caught myself over the years when people would ask me what kind of music I made, and I would say, I make country music. They would say, oh, like Toby Keith? And I'd be like, no, not like that. Then they'd be like, oh, like Jason Aldean, Blake Shelton, Luke Bryan? I'm like, not like that either. Oh, you like Willie and Waylon? Well, not really. I mean, it kind of leans that way a little bit more, but no, I'm trying to kind of carve out my own niche and do my own thing. So I can totally relate to the constantly having to explain what you are and what kind of country music you are and what your influences were and all that. But then she goes on to say, after the Trump years, people's biases were on full display. They were proud to be misogynistic and racist and homophobic and transphobic. All these things were being celebrated, and it was weirdly dovetailing with this hyper-masculine branch of country music. Where is she wrong there? I'm with her 100% on that. That's exactly what has happened over the years. But now I saw this coming a long time before Donald Trump. I mean, this definitely started years and years ago. I felt like after 9/11, country music took an even harder shift to the right, and suddenly you had Toby Keith writing songs about putting a boot up somebody's ass, and if you didn't love it or support it, then you were a communist and an enemy and all these things. You had the whole Dixie Chicks fiasco. You had Christopherson standing up for him. You had, Toby Keith and Christopherson butting heads over it. And it's been going in that direction for a long time, but Donald Trump definitely pushed down the accelerator on it, and a lot of Nashville artists cashed in on that. She goes on to talk about Jason Aldean's song, Try That in a Small Town, and Oliver Anthony and the Richmond, North of Richmond. And she goes on to talk about how that she feels like that people are sharing this music to own the libs. Again, I'm with her on that. They definitely are doing those things. I mean, that's really hard points to argue. And I can't blame her at all for wanting to walk away from it, and I completely understand her sentiment. But what I would say to her is, don't leave country music. Because if everybody that disagreed with that brand and that style and that branch, whatever the hell you want to call it, of country music, if everybody walked away because of that, then you just leave it to them, and now they are country music. Back in the day, Willie Nelson never walked away from country music when people said things he disagreed with. Johnny Cash didn't walk away from country music when, he felt like that. They always continued to claim country music. Merle Haggard never walked away from it. They may have even disagreed with one another on certain things, but they never walked away from the genre as a whole. Everybody, I've learned one thing the hard way. Over the years, I would say to myself, that ain't country or this ain't country. And over the years, I just had to really suck it up and realize that, you know what? Anybody can claim to be country music. That's just a bitter pill you have to swallow. No, in my world, Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan, Florida Georgia Line, that's not country music in my mind. But in some people's minds, it is. In some people's minds, that's what it is to them. So there's so many people that are going to lay claim to it. And if you just walk away from it and let all the racist, homophobic, misogynist bullshit take the lead, then that's all it's going to be, and that's all it's going to be remembered for. And so I would say, continue to make the kind of country music you want to make, and let the chips fall where they may. I write political satirical songs. And really, no, they wouldn't fit in Nashville, Tennessee at all. But I have people all the time saying to me, man, I didn't like country music till I heard what you do, and I love what you do with it. And that's kind of been the way it's been. If you go all the way back to Hank Williams Sr., there was people saying, well, I don't really like country music, but I like the way Hank does it. Later on, well, I don't really like country music, but I like the way Buck Owens does it. Later on, well, I don't really like country music, but I like the way Waylon Jennings does it. So why not have people saying, I don't necessarily like country music, but I like the way Maren Morris makes it. Just make it for your own, make it your own, and fuck them. That's what I say.